What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. So, I'm here today with Gab and Maui. Guys, say hi.
Hello, hello. Hello.
Hello!
Yeah,
We
boy.
just
Yeah.
witnessed, nakita mo naman, naka-blue yung dalawang to. Mga true blue
Hindi ka naka-blue,
fans.
pare! Come on! Come on!
Mga true blue fans of the game. We just witnessed game 2 of UAAP Season 85 finals between Ateneo and UP. Ateneo takes this one 65 to 55. So they win by 10. So we're going to have a game 3, baby. We're going to have a game 3 on Monday. But before we talk about the game, before we talk about anything, we want to be a bit serious because we have some sad news and I think everyone knows what we're talking about. Halfway through the fourth quarter, si Zav Lucero of UP drove to the basket and then fell down, clutching his knees. He couldn't stand up at first, so he had to be carried off the court. Not something that you want to see. Any sports fan, any basketball fan, any player, any coach, you don't want to see someone go down like that, especially to a great guy, a nice guy like Zav Lucero, no? So he didn't go back to the game. We saw him trying to put pressure on that leg sa may bench. And we heard from the report na he fell down and he heard a crack. That was the word that was used, no, during the game. So he heard a crack. So as of now, it's 10:30 p.m. December 14, Wednesday. We don't know yet the seriousness of the injury, but we want to send out our love and our prayers to Zave. We hope that it's not that serious. We hope that he feels better. We're cheering for him, even though most of the guys here at the podcast are cheering for Ateneo. We're cheering for Zave, and we hope to see him in Game 3. Uh, Guys, your thoughts on what happened to Zave earlier?
I
Let's start
think
with you, Maui.
I think it's very heartbreaking anytime you see a player clutch his knees. To make matters worse, he had to be carried off the floor. He tried to put weight on, but to me, yung pinaka heartbreaking moment was when the cameraman panned him out and showed him crying on the bench nung dying seconds of fourth quarter. Um, it's never a great sight
Naiyak din ako
when
dun.
yeah, it's actually it brought back bad memories for me because I tore my ACL in high school. It's never great to see anything like that. It's very heartbreaking. Nakakaiyak yung nangyari kay Lucero. Uh, but uh, but yeah, he was carried to the locker room daw by I think Henry Galinato. But reports are saying that he was able to walk nung sa locker room, and I think we have to give a shout out to Naveen Ganglani for reporting that he's now on the way to the hospital and getting it checked for possible return for game 3. Yeah, so I think hopefully he's better. Hopefully it's not bad. Hopefully if he's indeed ruled out for game 3, hopefully it's not a career threatening injury. I hope it's not an ACL.
That's true.
But I don't want to speculate, but it didn't look good. It was a non-contact injury. Anytime you hear about a non-contact injury, it's very bad. How about you, Gab?
Gab, anything you want to say?
Nothing much to add. I think you guys have covered it. Again, you don't want to see anyone get hurt. No. As a fellow athlete, one of my biggest fears also is being injured, is having a severe injury. I never want that to happen to me. Thankfully, I haven't been injured gravely in my illustrious playing career. But yeah, I don't like seeing that. Yung gaya ng sabi ni Maui, yung sa replay, it looked really bad. Sobrang his knee gave way. I think as a physician, seeing that kind of uh, injury, it's most likely soft tissue, possibly a ligament, possibly a muscle, because it's not contact, you know. Yeah, hard to watch. I hate watching injuries. Yung sprained ankle nga ni Carl Tamayo, sobrang nag-cringe ako. I don't like seeing that. I don't like seeing anyone get hurt. And yun talaga. So, I closed my eyes. I couldn't really watch it again. Really hard, no? Especially, he played amazing in game 1. And you know he's gonna be a big part of the rotation.
And he's a guy that gives his all eh. All out tong guy na to maglaro eh. He's really the energy guy from the team din, no? So
heart and soul
hard to
ng
watch.
UP.
Hard to watch someone like him get injured like that. Yeah, prayers out to Zav Lucero. We hope to hear good news soon. And we hope to you get back to 100% health.
On a positive note, I just thought about this now. This could be something to rally behind if you're like the UP Fighting Maroons, no? If he does not, if the reports or the results of I'm guessing it's an MRI or an X-ray. X-ray first, of course. Yun na palagi, X-ray. Don't kill me, my mentors. But usually, if the results are bad and he does not get to play Game 3, I think that could be used by the UP Fighting Maroons as a rallying cry or something to rally behind. Yung let's win it for Zabe. So that's a positive thing. Although I don't want it to be that way. I want to see Zabe out there. I want to see Zabe yung play again. So yun, that's just a positive note. I hope it's positive enough. Again, I don't want anything bad to happen to Zabe. I don't want him to be sidelined for a year or something.
Yeah.
Of course I don't.
Again, prayers out to Zabe, to his family who's here to watch him play, and to the entire UP community. Okay, sige. Let's talk about that game. Honestly, it was a messy game for me. Medyo talagang grit and grind kind of game for both teams. Yeah, what are your initial reactions na lang muna? Maui, anong reactions mo to the game? Obviously, masaya ka, pero like, what are your initial reactions?
Well, definitely happier than game 1. But we mentioned this on the podcast. We've been mentioning this from the start. We want more games, regardless if it's Ateneo or UP but we're lucky. It's round 3 of Ateneo and UP, and we get a game 3. So I think I've been saying this. Everybody's gonna be happy for game 3. We're praying for good health for both teams, no more injuries, and I think on a high note, Ateneo really rallied this game, and I think beneficial talaga that the kuyas, the graduates from the previous years, from Tab's previous teams went to the practice. Even I heard even si Will Navarro willed himself to the practice and went to the practice even if he has a torn ACL.
Injury.
Yeah, an ACL.
Was that wait lang, Mau. Was that an intended pun?
No.
Pun ba yun?
They were also at the game, ha? They were also at the game, no? Nakita ko sa likod ng bench na yung Nieto brothers at least.
Yeah, I think previous games kasi you can see naman that they were watching. Sila Tyler Teo I don't think was behind the bench. But it's really good to see older players, yung mga kuya nila from before to support them. And I think it was a big thing na si Mike Nieto, the captain of the previous team, was behind the bench. And if you watch yung press conference after the game, si Kai Balungay, who had Kai Balungay, who had a spectacular game, gave a shout out to his kuyas and how they really empowered them to play better, especially physically, in terms of like matching up with UP's physical defense. And I think Ateneo really played a good game, especially on defense a while ago.
Yeah, finally got a good game from Kai Balungay. This game, first good game from him against UP in what, 4 attempts. So finally he was more aggressive, he was more confident. Even had a stare down with Zav early in the first quarter ata eh. Parang nakadunk ba siya or he had a dunk
Poster
attempt and
dunk,
then
yeah, dunk attempt.
Zav missed the block attempt, so stared down Zav Lucero.
Bawi daw,
So
para
like
kay
to
Poon.
see, I like to see that type of confidence from Kai Balungay. Gab, initial reactions to the game.
In initial reactions, that was an Ange Kwame MVP statement game. Ange dominated. Part of it, of course, was Malik Diouf was in foul trouble almost the entire game. Yes, of course. But Ange Kwame showed, I think one of our subscribers called him, or I think si Maui also called him the best foreign student athlete to ever play in the UAAP. And he showed it, man. He was amazing on defense, on offense. He hit a three, got offensive rebounds, killed Henry Galinato in post-ups, even Carl Tamayo. That was an MVP game for Ange Kwame. Another is, I think, for the first time in probably a long while, Coach Tab actually outcoached Coach Gold. I don't know if you noticed it. In every baseline inbound pass, Ateneo ran kind of a wall of the inbound pass. And that led to, if I remember counting it correctly, around four UP turnovers and 2 almost turnovers for UP. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yung zone.
Whenever there was an inbound pass, Coach Tab would put a wall of 3 players underneath the basket. Just a wall. And then the other 2 players would watch for the lob and even patrol the middle. It was a wall. It was like a zone guarding the inbound
zone
pass.
Inbound.
And that led to,
hindi nila na-solve the whole
and
game.
they never had an answer for it. Weirdly enough, they never adjusted. Even in the fourth quarter, it led to a couple of UP turnovers. That single defensive set of a baseline inbounds led to 4 or 5 UP turnovers. Weird. It was never adjusted. And yeah, Ateneo's defense today was top notch. Can't say anything less. I have to give a shout out. We talked about this coming into the finals. What was the key for Ateneo? Their bench, and their bench showed up big time in this game. I have to give a shout out to super senior Sean Kiteves. I played his best damn game of the whole season. BJ Andrade was in foul trouble the whole game. Every time he checked in the game, he would commit a foul. Now we could argue if they were actually fouls, but saka na yun. But I do want to give a shout out
to be fair, they were calling it really tight this game. Kung nung game 1 they were calling it loose, I think ngayon very tight yung calls nila. So
they call it tight.
No?
Saka na natin i-discuss yung fouls ni BJ Andrade because baka matagal tayo dito. Discuss natin yun.
Go ahead.
Anyway, I do want to go back to the bench of Ateneo. Sean Kiteves played excellent defense. Doesn't really do much on offense, you know.
Yeah.
He's like Josh Lazaro. He's like the wing counterpart of Josh Lazaro. But he played a hell of a game on the defensive end. And was pretty steady in the absence of BJ Andrade. Who would have known, diba? Yung Sean Kiteves. Also, Chu Daves gave great minutes. Scored, again, I think Mao, you brought this up in the game 1 podcast. UP, that's bonus points for UP when you get points from guys like Cyril Gonzalez, Harold Alarcon. The 19 points, I think si Maui pointed it out.
Yeah.
Gio had 6 points.
6.
Two Daves had 6.
6 also, yeah.
I forgot who else scored off the bench. Josh Lazaro drew
2 points.
The second
drew 2 fouls.
Yeah, I was gonna say drew 2 fouls. One on Malik Diouf, I think his second or his third. Second. And then drew a foul on Zav, attacking the basket. Sam, you were criticizing Josh Lazaro for, I think he's a listener of Boleros, pare.
Basta aggressive siya. Go lang, laban lang, bro.
And he was aggressive, although after his technical foul, he wasn't set. No, he made 2!
50%.
Yung 50%.
Yun lang. Ayusin naman niya free throw niya, bro. Tsaka yung technical foul. Ano ba yan?
Yeah, yun. Yeah, so after the technical foul, he was not brought back into the game until the last few minutes, I think. So, but yeah, the bench showed up tonight. Gab Gomez was solid. Barely turned the ball over. Had a few steals also. And talk about Gab Gomez, I think it allowed Coach Tab to pace Fortsky. That was a problem in game 1.
Yung cramps ni Fortsky.
Fortsky was cramping up because he was exerting a lot of effort. And Coach Tab paced Fortsky a lot. I mean, for each quarter, he would put in Fortsky for a 3 to 4 minutes stretch, sub him out, put in Gab Gomez, and it worked. He didn't nag-cramps, man. So, I think that pacing of Coach Tab worked. Again, the shout out to the bench of Ateneo. They played a hell of a game talaga. Any other thoughts, boys?
Actually, Gab,
from the UP side naman, from the UP side, anong napansin niyo from the UP side?
Maui.
Just to add lang dun sa sinabi mo about Coach Tab facing Fortsky kanina. Yeah, you could see na he was playing in 3 to 4 minute spurts. But I think one of the main adjustments talaga ng Ateneo was putting more ball handlers with Fortsky. You mentioned si Gab Gomez, and he was playing also with Chris Kuhn. But there were also times that si Sean Cotevis was also bringing down the ball.
Yes.
And I think this was something that was very prevalent nung time nila Rafi Verano and Will Navarro, and even si Vince Tolentino nung early parts ng Tab days. Even the power forwards were helping bring down the ball kanina. It wasn't like the previous game that Fortsky was just forcing to bring down the ball, and Ateneo would start the offense when there was probably 12 or 13 on the shot clock already. So I think that's one of the biggest adjustments Ateneo made sa game na to. Another thing I'd like to add to Ateneo's adjustment is, I think yung power forward slot was very critical kanina. All of them, Lazaro, Daves, and Balungay, all of them were more aggressive. Sobrang dami nung ball screens na instead of giving the ball, they turned around, spin move, and went aggressive to the basket. I think you mentioned, Gab, a few times even si Lazaro did this. And yeah, I think I can agree also with you, Gab, that this is probably the first time that Coach Tab really outcoached Coach Goldwyn.
Sammy, from the UP side naman, yung ano na-observe mo?
I think for me, as you mentioned, big difference din na nawala yung bench contributions. Although I think Alarcon still scored a few points again. Check ko yung box score.
I think magpasok niya 3-pointer
scored 11 points, I think.
5 lang.
5 lang pala.
5 lang.
5 points lang.
5 lang. Actually, pare, the starters...
Gonzalez, 0. So, that's 19 points from last
aside
game.
From JD Kagulangan, pare, the starters didn't do much.
Yeah, kasi, technically, si Tamayo kasi hindi starter, di ba? Actually, I wanted to call that out. I think for me, Tamayo had a really good game, if you think about it. He shot 44%. Wait, 44% from the field, 2-point field goals. Tapos, I think 2 of 5 siya from 3. Although, as you mentioned, I think Kwame defended him really well this time. And ang gusto ko lang i-call out something that I mentioned last time. I said he didn't shoot so well from the free throw line last time. He's worse now. So last time, I think 40%, 50% siya. Ngayon, 1 of 6. Which I think is surprising because if I remember correctly, he's a decent free throw shooter eh. So that's 2 straight games
Yeah, I think nasa
na
80% siya before.
Yeah, yun
If
nga
I'm
eh.
not
Alam ko
mistaken
70 eh. 70, 80% eh. But that's 2 straight games na he's below 50%. So something worth calling out. I think the only free throw he made was fourth quarter na eh. Yung last 2 free throws niya, he made 1 out of 2. There was a crucial play for me. I remember you and Gab, you and Maui mentioned na in game 1, the siguro yung momentum changing play was when Ateneo was making the run. They were down by 4. Chris Kuhn goes for a dunk and then he gets blocked, diba? And then Alarcon makes a 3-point shot on the other end. That really changed the momentum. I think this one, UP sort of had a mini run. And then
I
may
know where you're
maganda
going
silang
with
play.
this.
I think it was Kagulangan or Alarcon who threw the ball to Galinato
Fortea.
Fortea, sorry. Threw the ball to Galinato. Nalito yung defense nun eh. That was one play where the defense played poorly. Diba? Nalito yung defense. Naiwan nila si Galinato inside and Galinato misses the dunk.
No,
I want to give
he didn't
Galinato,
try to dunk it. That was the problem. He didn't try to
parang
dunk it.
He tried soft, to... Yeah,
he
soft
babied
dunk.
it. He babied it.
Yeah, exactly. Babied it. Tama.
I agree, Sam. That was the turning point or the crux of it. Because
doon ang patay sunog.
I think if I remember correctly, exactly. If I remember correctly, 8 single digit na lang yung lead nun eh. If Galinato made that dunk, that would have been like the closest that they got in the fourth quarter. So I think yun talaga, that really changed the sort of the momentum for Ateneo. They really nakalusot sila doon. I want to give Galinato the benefit of the doubt. Feel ko baka he ran out of gas because he was playing more minutes because Diouf had to rest, kaya he ended up babying it, or natakot ba siya kay Ange Kwame?
He was also in foul trouble. He didn't play a lot.
Actually, no? So,
wala.
Natakot. Pero
it was a brain fart. Yeah. Sam, there's no excuse. I'm sorry for Henry Galinato. He was not tired. It was just a brain fart. He babied it. As in, from the telecast, he should have dunked it. He should have gone up strong and dunked it. Yeah. Instead, he babied it.
So I think for me, I think for me that was a momentum changing him. Like after that, wala
patay
na.
Sunog na.
Patay sunog na talaga. So honestly, like when I saw that play, talagang shocked ako. Like tumayo na ako nung pinasa ni Forte yung ganun. Parang, oh shit! Tapos biglang, what? Hindi ako makapaniwala. Like I didn't know how to react.
Brain fart.
Sayang.
Brain fart. Although you talked about him just recently, Sam, Terence Fortea. I've been hating on Terence Fortea.
He played a good game.
I loved him coming out of the NU Bullpups program. I thought he was an amazing scorer. He's not been a very good point guard so far in his UAAP college career, but he played a good game a while ago. I have to give him that. He came off the bench. He got injured. You remember that? He got injured, stepped on Giochu's foot. But came back, made some big threes, and just made good plays. He was steady.
Yeah.
He was steady. He didn't force it. He didn't force it, which is what I've been telling you guys over and over again. He doesn't have to force it to score, He can let other people do the playmaking, do the scoring. He can get yung 3 that he hit to cut the lead to what was it, 8 or 10?
Yeah, parang naging single digits or something.
Oh, he was wide open, and that was the perfect shot. I'm not really a fan of when he chucks it from very long distance, early or with 10 seconds in the shot clock. Because I think you could have gotten you could get a better shot than that. Although yung point ko, why I wanted to jump on the Carl Tamayo point that you made, Sam. Again, even if Ateneo was up by 15-14 no fourth quarter, kinakabahan pa rin ako.
Lahat na tayo kinakabahan. Iba yung Carl.
This is why I picked him for my MVP. Go watch our season awards podcast. This is why I picked him for my MVP, because when it comes down to it, when you need a bucket, when you need to grab this game by the throat, you go to Carl Tamayo. And for a stretch in that fourth quarter,
yes,
hot damn,
yes,
he wanted to take over that game. Oh my goodness, this
yung
guy.
Yung na-switch si Kiteves sa kanya, GG. Tumayo na ako nung na-switch si Kiteves. Ako, GG to, GG. Nag-fade away pa nga siya nun eh. Sure ball eh. Oh.
Fade away. And two Daves came to double, but it didn't matter. It still went in.
Ganda ng move.
Crazy how good this guy is.
Paul Pierce talaga naalala ko.
We're gonna say something.
Paul Pierce.
Ganda ng move niya. Paul Pierce. Actually, to be honest, kanina, when you watch the game, Carl Tamayo, wala talaga mga tigil from the Ateneo side. I think you can only limit him. And I think the only Ange Kwame was able to match up properly with him. Pero you can see Carl Tamayo adjusting. He wasn't driving to the hole. He was taking his smooth and steady mid-range shots and top of the key threes. And this guy is amazing. I think Carl Tamayo, when you talk about Philippine basketball, you talk about Kai Soto as being a unicorn. I think Carl Tamayo fits in that same category. I don't think probably the nakakatakot talaga from before, parang Bobby Ray Parks or Ren Nitwalo for me, yung levels ng dinadala ni Carl Tamayo when he's on the floor. Parang even if you're down 15-14, tayo mga tenista, top team Ateneo, we have Ange Kwame, kabado pa rin tayo. We don't know if we're gonna close out the game. And that's all because of Carl Tamayo. Yeah.
That's how much we respect his game.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Gab.
You mentioned also, Sam, nung in our season awards podcast, that when he gets matched up with Gio Chu, he licks his chops. There were a few moments. There were a few plays in that game a while ago. He saw Gio Chu on it and he was like, this is mine. Barbecue chicken, baby.
I swear, nanggigigil siya. Pag nakita niya si Gio Chu na yung na-match up sa kanya, nanggigigil siya, parang kayang-kaya ko to. And they played against each other in high school, no? So I think, plus their Gilas teammates. So I think there's really like that
wala batang Gilas pa yun.
Rivalry, no? Friendly rivalry between the two. Yeah. Sige, so I think we sort of talked about the highlights, no, from both teams. Let's talk about yung medyo mga lowlights or duds. Starting with Ateneo, it's we've talked about him. Dave Ildefonso hasn't had a good game against UP. Hasn't had a dominant game against UP.
No second round. Grabe ka
naman. Second round. That was probably only good game niya.
Okay. Dave Ildefonso hasn't had a good game against UP in the finals.
Oh, ayun.
Yes.
Okay,
I can agree.
5 games na yun, ha?
Hindi siya yung dominant, usual dominant Dave Ildefonso.
So, I don't know, is it because may championship level yung pressure? He's the supposedly go-to guy. He's feeling the pressure, or to Gab's point, James Spencer has his number. I think UP just knows how to defend him.
If you were to ask me, I think really James Spencer's done a tremendous job.
Yeah,
but it's also, if you watch yung my mom kasi was complaining, but daw si Ildefonso hindi same level ni 30. He was expecting na Ildefonso would dominate stretches. Kasi yun yung ano talaga expectation ng Ateneo. He was supposed
to replace him, no?
Kumbaga si 30, him and Dwight Ramos to a T. But yeah, I think UP, not just James Spencer's defense, I think yung help defense din ng UP is really good matching up with Dave.
Galing,
they really have UP. This number.
They're the number one defense for a reason.
Yeah, they're the number
They're
one.
They're really good on defense.
But I think David Ildefonso was a plus 10 kanina. He had 8 rebounds, a couple of assists. I think he can affect the games without even scoring. But yeah, I think he has to find ways to affect the games without forcing to score. Kita mo nung first half, he was forcing to score eh. Parang hindi rin masyado okay. But I think David Ildefonso, as Tab mentioned, can affect the games in different ways. His rebounding has really been up, especially in the second round. But I think sometimes Dave tries to initiate too much for his teammates. I think he has to be more aggressive, similar to how he was nung NU days. He wasn't much of a facilitator nung NU days. He was playing like a Cory Maggette type of game. Parang talagang drive to the hole and baala na, kuha ng free throws, 3-point plays, and then offensive rebounds. But yet, yeah, I think David Ildefonso has to be more aggressive.
But for me, speaking of free throw shooting, isa pa to kung si Tamayo is a bad free throw shooter, si Dave, ang lala din ng free throw shooting. I think that's something that he needs to work on also.
Yeah, masyado malaki.
Feel mo, yun, no?
Si Gab
mentioned kasi siya eh.
Si Gab mentioned this during previous episodes na Ateneo is one of the top free throw shooting teams, pero yung malaki hila ni Kwame and ni Ildefonso because of their volume. I think Kwame is shooting 50% and si Ildefonso low 60s. And for a wingman, for a shooting guard, small forward, that's abysmal. That's abysmal. I mean, you have to shoot close to 80 or even mid 70s. Sayang yung free throws, di ba?
Another point I wanted to make, I'm gonna go for the UP side naman. Especially you talk about that Galinato play. After that Galinato play, I think UP went for a lot of home run shots, home run plays.
Puro 3 points, no?
Yeah, yung puro 3-point shot, rush shots. I thought they could have gotten better shots. Honestly, ibigay mo lang yung bola kay Carl.
Kay Tamayo.
In those last few minutes, just run everything through Carl Tamayo. Honestly, he's unstoppable. So, I don't know. In that last few stretches of the game, after that Galinato missed shot, they went for a lot of home run plays, home run shots, when I think they could have gotten better shots. Kahit mga 2 points, diba, to bring it down to 8, bring it down to 6. They didn't have to bring it down all the way with those threes. I think if they ran it through Carl, pare, I think we could have seen a closer game or even a UP win actually. And I do want to make this point with Zav Lucero out. If Zav Lucero is out for Game 3, I do think this could be a positive for Carl Tamayo. Here's my point. Carl Tamayo doesn't get straight, consistent minutes, mainly because of UP's depth. But I think that affects his flow. His flow, his how do you call it? Basta, yung hindi siya nakakuha ng consistent flow in the game because he
yung pulso niya.
Yung momentum niya.
Yeah.
So, if Zav Lucero is unable to play in Game 3, I do believe that this will be a positive for Carl Tamayo because now Coach Gould will be forced to play more Carl Tamayo. And honestly, more Carl Tamayo minutes, the better for UP. He's the best player right now in the UAAP, bar none.
He's
not
the
even
best
close.
College player.
No one is even close to him. And
na local, na hindi foreign student athlete. Kasi ako si Kwame, double down ako.
Best local college player in the Philippines.
Legit, natural Filipino.
But if he could have stretches of that fourth quarter run that he had, I think UP will be in great position in Game 3. Kasi I am a big believer in Carl Tamayo. So, that could be a positive. I'm just saying. So, yun.
Ako naman, I think if you're talking about keys to winning for UP sa Game 3, I think you, Gab, you're very high with Carl Tamayo. We're all high. I'm high with Carl Tamayo. But I think yung game kanina really showed how UP struggled. And I think yung game na yun showed how they missed both Cancino and Rivero in terms of like players who can get their own shot, make
plays.
And make plays. And I think you see a big contrast from Game 1 to Game 2. Game 2, Carl Tamayo scored a bunch of points. Terence Fortea scored a bunch of points. But if you look at sila Khaled Ararcon, if you look at sila Cyril Gonzalez, they scored a total of like 4 points. And I think if UP is going to win yung Game 3, they have to play like Game 1. Terence Fortea didn't get a lot of minutes of Game 1 because their flow on offense was better. Everyone was contributing. Actually, head scratcher for me na grabe na Alarcon and Gonzalez were really killing Ateneo on the perimeter and even on driving lanes. And I think if UP is going to pull out the Game 3 win, especially if Zav Lucero is not available, I think everyone has to step up. If it's gonna be a Carl Tamayo show like kanina, I think Ateneo will just live and die with Carl Tamayo shooting those jumpers and 3-pointers and match up Ange Kwame and neutralize him inside like they did a while ago. Yun yung different perspective from me.
Yeah. I just want to add, if we're talking about now that we're talking about keys to Game 3, no, I think as I mentioned earlier, and this is something I talk about with my wife, no, like I was trying to explain to her. I think Gab mentioned this in Game 1. The referees were calling it really loose, no? Parang
we're gonna go here now.
It was very physical. It was very physical nung Game 1. Wala masyadong fouls. I was telling my wife, kapag physical yung game, when the game gets very physical and the referees allow that, it's sort of to the advantage of UP because they're the number one defense. Maui, you described UP as grit and grind. Talagang gritty sila. Gritty defensively. They're all very pesky. Abadiano, Spencer, Kagulangan. You have Malik Diouf blocking shots. Zav chasing down every layup, every dunk attempt. So it works to UP's advantage. But today, they're calling it really, really, really tight. Sobrang nipis ng mga tawag. And I think when it gets to that, sometimes it sort of ruins yung defensive flow ng UP. And it sort of worked to Ateneo's advantage today because it got Malik Diouf into foul trouble. Although, it got Andrade into foul trouble. But honestly, that's how I see it, no? When pag medyo manipis yung calls, it sort of works to Ateneo's advantage. But I think for me, you never want to see anyone in foul trouble. We got lucky Ange wasn't into foul trouble.
I think he had 2 fouls in the first half.
Early, and then yun na yun. I think the fact na Diouf was into foul trouble, Gio Chu and Matthew Daves were able to play extended minutes. Kasi walang like 7-footer na silang binabantayan. I was gonna say something else, but
actually
so
Sam,
I think go Maui.
Sorry to add lang to you saying that we don't want to see people on foul trouble. Actually, si Coach Tab also mentioned that in press conference after the game. That they don't want to see many guys in foul trouble, especially in Game 3. I think you want the best players on the floor. It's for the fans. And you don't want the referees. You want referees to, and he said that you want them to be as consistent as possible. And to a T, they haven't been really that consistent. Kasi as you mentioned, nung Game 1, they were calling it loosely, and then game 2, they were calling it tightly. And Coach Tab mentioned that that's like the epitome of the whole season. So they don't really know if they have to be physical and stuff. So hopefully we get more consistency in game 3.
Exactly. Actually, that was my point, no? Yun lang gusto ko sabihin na I think yung crucial lang is what's important is we get consistency, no? Whatever yung spectrum that they decide to sort of call, I think what's important is it for them to be consistent and to be fair for both sides. Hopefully, we won't let the calls decide game 3.
Nagpibigil na.
Gab, I know pigil na pigil kang mag-rant dito. I will give you 1 minute to rant about.
You guys are being too nice. The referees were full of shit.
Short of saying na yun. That was short of saying. Yun nga, that was short of saying that they were really...
Yung nga, you guys are being too nice. They were pieces of shit. Okay.
This video is
kahit
not
ako, yung I label this every time na it's not for kids. Don't worry. No one's gonna know. So for all of the viewers, don't let your kids watch this. Okay. Kahit even I thought some of the fouls that were put on Malik Diouf were not really foul. Well, not the normal fouls that you would have given Malik Diouf. There were actually many other plays where I thought they could have called the foul on Malik Diouf.
Pero wala.
Especially when he came into the game and had 3 fouls. There were times I felt that those refs did not want to call his 4th. But they called his 4th on a tiki-tak foul on the other end on Kai Balungay. I'm like, bro, there were many other times he could have called his 4th. Now you call the 4th on a touch foul? Are you kidding me? And the PJ Andrade ones, his 3rd foul, he was going straight up for a loose ball. James Spencer dove into him, and he was the one called for the foul. That is total horse shit.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
And
his 4th foul.
Go.
His fourth foul, he was standing there. Malik Diouf put his arm on him, and he was called for holding. And you can see on the replay, he was just standing there with Malik Diouf's arm on him, and he was not holding anything. What total horseshit were these refs watching? Or what were they smoking? Oh my goodness. Grabe.
By the way, like the whole time, yun nga, yung mga tiki-tak fouls against UP, especially yung sa 4th foul ni Diouf, as you mentioned, Gab. Like, I was telling my wife, Psycho, nag-challenge kasi agad si Goldwyn nung first quarter, yung out of bounds play, hindi niya tuloy
ma-challenge. That was also a comment I had during the game. Sabi ko, you're really challenging this? It's 12-11 in the first quarter? Really?
Yung out of bounds play pa no? Sabi ko, dapat hindi niya ata challenge yun
There were a lot of questionable calls on both sides. At talagang there was a Malik Diouf travel when he jumped twice.
Swimming nga One time nag-swimming pa, hindi tinawag travel. Grabe. But I think we're not biased. We're calling this on both sides. I think some of the Sam and I mentioned yung consistency in calling, and I think Sam mentioned yung effect ng aggressiveness ng UP on defense. And I think it really cost them a lot this game because they didn't know if they could be aggressive, if they couldn't be aggressive. So really, Coach Tab also mentioned nga yung what we want is really consistency. If you're gonna call it tight the whole game. If you're gonna call it loose the whole game. At the minimum.
Yeah, so yun lang. So I finally let off my steam. You guys are being too nice. You guys are being too nice.
Malalim, Gab.
We had to call it. We had to say it. Damn. Those refs, man.
But I think aside from just to add lang dun sa UP side, I just to give credit also to Ateneo. I think that was one of their since Ange Kwame was resurrected to Ange Kwame season 84 MVP levels kanina. I think that was one of the best defensive games of Ateneo. I
Yes.
read a tweet from the statistician of UAAP, si Pong Ducanes. This is actually UP's lowest scoring game under Coach Goldwin.
Coach
So in
Gold.
the two,
Yeah,
so in the
tama.
2 years that Coach Goldwin has coached UP, this is the lowest that they've scored, and they scored it sa finals. And I think, again, I mentioned I'm doubling down on Ange Kwame as the MVP of this year and the best FSA ever.
Speaking of defense, no, Mau, I think si Ateneo had way more steals than UP. They also had way more blocks. I think double the blocks versus UP
Si
versus
Kwame pa lang.
yung highlights.
Yeah.
Oh, highlights natin nung game 1. We were all talking about the blocks by Zav Lucero, block on Kun, block on Kwame. But this time it's the other way around, no? We're talking about the Kwame blocks on UP. So I think that speaks a lot about how aggressive Ateneo was or how good Ateneo was defensively, at least in game 2. Speaking of, so I guess we're gonna end it. We're gonna end it there. But I just wanna go back to our last episode. Speaking of MVP, as I promised, we asked everyone. So if you saw the awards episode that we had last night, we voted 3 different players for MVP. Gab said si Carl Tamayo yung MVP niya. Maui said si Ange Kwame yung MVP niya. And then I said si Jerome Lastimosa. And when we say MVP, hindi yung based sa UAAP stats. We're talking about the most valuable player to their team, who has the biggest impact sa team nila. That's sort of how we defined it. I'm checking my tally now. I checked this before we did this. We actually have a tie, no? So we had 3 votes for Diof, including our votes, ha. We had 3 votes for Diof, and then 3 votes for Jerome Lastimosa. And then the 1 vote for Kwame and Tamayo. So based on the votes of the fans and our votes, it's really a tie, Gab. Hindi natin siya ma-differentiate. It's a tie between Jerome Lastimosa
Let's move
and
it to
Mike Diof.
after game 3. Yung baka may mag-vote pa.
Extend ba natin? Agree ka
Kahit
doon, Mau?
UAAP di ba? Yung MVP si Diouf, pero yung PS bankable maasahan player of the year. Because I think Lastimosa gets it every time they win. He had 4, I think, or 5. He got the award.
That's
so
true.
even the UAAP is not super unanimous.
So I think we'll call it that, no? It's a tie between Diof and Lastimosa. Statistically, Diof ang ating MVP. Pero pag sinabi mong maaasahan player of the team, I think we can all agree that's Jerome Lastimosa. Any closing statements before we go?
Oh, wait. Predictions, pare. Game 3. Predictions.
It's tough. I said UP in 3 games. Not sure now, depending on Zav Lucero's status. Assuming he's healthy, I think UP will try to come back aggressively. It's going to be a close game. But I don't know. I'm just happy Ateneo made it this far. So I'm gonna say UP. UP pa rin. Assuming Zav is healthy.
Maui, are you changing your pick?
With or without Zav, I'm going for Ateneo. And my number 1 reason is this. If you look at the 2 games ng finals, it was 8 quarters. If you look at that and you compare how many quarters Ateneo won, how many quarters UP won, Ateneo has won 5 out of the last 7 quarters. UP only won 4th quarter of game 1 and 4th quarter of game 2, sorry. So I'm thinking that Ateneo has really been able to adjust with UP. Nabulabog lang talaga ng first quarter, I think, naunahan ng last game. So I'm sticking with Ateneo. I'm sticking with Tab Baldwin and Kwame to bring back the crown to Ateneo.
Okay, Gab. 1 for UP, 1 for Ateneo.
I went with my heart. when we started our finals preview, and I'm sticking with my heart. I'm going with my heart. I think it's gonna be an Ateneo. The crown is gonna go back to the blue side of Katipunan. I'd be shocked if it's a blowout or malaki yung gap the game. I expect this to go down the wire. If season 84 was any
Indication.
clue or indication, tama, is any indication of how close UP and Ateneo play it, it's gonna be down to the wire. And honestly, hindi na kaya ng puso ko.
Nakakapaliw na. Last game na.
Na UP Ateneo since freaking March and April, we've been having close UP Ateneo games. My heart can't take it, and it's been so fun to watch these two teams go at it. But yeah, I am going with Ateneo to come out on top in Game 3. Surprise.
Oo nga eh. Sorry, just to defend my pick, no? I'm picking UP because syempre Carl Tamayo is still Carl Tamayo. He can dominate anytime. I'm pretty sure he's going to be hungrier in Game 3. And Malik Diouf, he got into foul trouble. I don't think he's gonna get into foul trouble. Babawi yan for sure. He had a bad game because he couldn't play. So I think he'll be hungry also, babawi.
Yeah, I think worst game niya yan sa UAAP. I mean, his
ever,
career
no?
UAAP. Ever.
That's true. So I think ano lang to, rare occasion lang to. So I think it's going to be tighter. And I think UP might win this championship or this season. Okay, sorry. One last thing before we end. I just wanna pitch this idea since, you know, lagi na tayong nagbabattle of Katipunan. I know it's a stupid idea. Hindi naman ito mangyayari. Pero, na-imagine ko lang parang, since magkalapit lang naman sila, na-imagine ko dapat ata pag mag-finals yung Ateneo versus UP, dapat merong home game sa Ateneo, home game sa UP. Tapos let's say yung game 3 sa Araneta, ganun.
So kayo maglalaro sa UP? Si HK?
Sa gym. Sa gym o si HK. Pwede na yun.
Baka magpatayin mga tao doon. Walang space. Kung sa Blue Eagles gym naman, lahat magka-cramp.
Saya nun.
Parang
Blue Eagle gym, tapos si HK. Lang.
First quarter pa lang magka-cramp sa si Fortsky, pare.
Sobrang init dun. No? Sobrang init. Punong-puno pa. Yeah, anyway, just an idea I thought about. Sabi ko, Battle of Katipunan. Para legit, Battle of Katipunan. Sa Katipunan lang kayo naglalaro. Tapos yung third game, hanap ka na lang dyan somewhere in Katipunan. Yun. But those are our predictions. Obviously, Maui Ateneo and Gab picked Ateneo to win Game 3. I'm picking UP to win Game 3. Game 3 is on Monday. Again, we'll definitely do a podcast. Just to reiterate what we said earlier, prayers up for
crying or smiling. We're doing a podcast.
Crying or smiling, win or
everybody's
lose.
Happy.
We'll do a podcast on Monday. We'll recap whoever will be the champion on Monday. We'll see you then. Comment down below. Sino ang prediction nyo? Ateneo, UP. What do you think will happen? Sino ang magiging MVP nyo for the finals? Let us know down below. And if you haven't, please like, subscribe, and share. Share the YouTube channel with your fellow Ateneo friends, fellow UP friends, and fellow friends that are fans of basketball. Because at the end of the day, we're just all here because we're fans of the game. See you. Good night.